What's going on, everybody? DigiValentine here right about now. You know, I'm incredibly excited for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Seeing characters like Biggs, Jessie and Wedge receive massive design updates and in-depth fleshed out story arcs got me wondering what some of the other NPCs are going to be like now in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. In this list I'll be choosing 5 NPCs from Final Fantasy VII that I can't wait to see make their glowed up return. This list of course is based on my personal opinions and are not guaranteed to reflect your own. Before I get into it, I want to quickly ask you guys to follow me on Twitter and Instagram if those are things that you like doing, and if you're new around these ends, please consider subscribing. I'm actually in the process of rebuilding my channel right now after an unplanned extended hiatus, and I kinda sort of really need to make up for lost time with this, yeah? Alright, safe. Let's get into it. Here are 5 NPCs I can't wait to see in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Scarlet. Head of weapons development at the Shinra Corporation, Scarlet is as ruthless as they come and shows zero signs of self-doubt or weakness. She makes for a very strong antagonist, especially to Barret and Tifa in particular, and after what she puts the party through, I couldn't wait to murk her in a boss fight. It's a shame then that the original Final Fantasy VII didn't really have a moment for me to cash in on that. I mean, at one point you do get into a slapping match with Scarlet while playing as Tifa, which is nice and all, but I mean, you know, it's slapping. I kinda wanted to kick this damn cow right up her ass, you know what I mean? And then when you do finally get to a boss fight, she just teams up with her colleague Heidegger and they co-pilot some mech together, and you don't really get to feel the impact of defeating her directly since you don't actually see her during the battle itself. Not only would I love to see how Scarlet's design would translate for the remake, and I can already hear her psychotic laugh coming from a mile away, but I would really love it if the remake gave us some full-on boss fights directly with Scarlet herself. She's the head of the weapons department. I'm sure she could pull out a bazooka or two and get sick with them, yeah? I mean, Rufus had a solo boss fight. Hojo has a 3-stage solo boss fight. The Turks have a bunch of boss fights. Even bloody Palmer has a boss fight, for crying out loud. I think Scarlet needs her own solo one as well. Something that isn't just the proud clod, you know? Imagine how sick it would be if the slapping match starts off the same as it did in the original, like some sort of minigame or something, only for it to cut into a real-time boss battle with Scarlet. I would like that. I would like that very much. Though with the first game in the remake series only taking place in Midgar, I think we're going to be waiting an awfully long time until we reach that point in the story. Dyne. Barret's one-on-one fight with Dyne was probably one of the more heartbreaking boss battles in the game. 2 old friends having to face off against each other due to the instability of one of them forcing the other into a fight that they don't want to be in. It's a very lose-lose situation, all things considered. And Dyne himself was a pretty good antagonist for Barret's side story, though it did feel a little too brief for my liking. I hope in the remake we'll get to see Dyne's arc play out for a bit longer during the Coral Prison incident. Imagine how badass his introduction could be in the remake when it turns out someone with a machine gun for an arm is murdering people and it isn't Barret. They could totally lengthen Dyne's presence and really play off of the poor guy's insanity. Apparently Dyne appeared as a boss in the mobile game Final Fantasy VII G-Bike, which might give us a rough idea of what he could look like in the remake. Rufus. The son of President Shinra, Rufus didn't waste any time in stepping into Snatch's father's empire. As the new head of the entire corporation, Rufus commanded a literal army beneath him and made sure to cause plenty of problems for the party along the way. I do have a feeling we won't be seeing much of this boy in Remake Part 1, though I do expect them to pull out all the stops for him when he does arrive. His arrival in the original was a tiny bit underwhelming if I'm being honest. I mean, he conveniently turns up right after his dad got shanked and just took over the company. It all happened a little too quickly, and I felt like there was not much time spent on building up to his arrival. One minute he wasn't even a character, and the next he was the new president of the main antagonistic group in the entire game. In the remake, they could really play up Rufus's angle a bit more. Show us that he's a character actively waiting in the ranks to take over. Show us that he's eager for that throne. They could also really build upon Rufus's boss fight with Cloud too. I actually hope they extend the fight a little bit more because it ended way too quickly in the original. Everything about Rufus during his introduction felt a little abrupt, including his boss fight, and they could definitely flesh him out further in the remake. Zangan. To the casual Final Fantasy VII player, you'd be forgiven for looking at this dude and having absolutely no idea who he is. I honestly wouldn't blame you, I totally forgot who he was as well. But this guy had a fairly important part to play in the game, and one that sadly wasn't elaborated on enough. Zangan was the martial artist who trained Tifa and taught her all those awesome limit breaks like Beat Rush and Water Kick and Dolphin Blow? Yet the original game didn't spend much time at all on showing us this teacher-pupil dynamic between them, and I honestly feel that's something they definitely need to flesh out more in the remake. I mean, Zangan was there during the Nibelheim incident and played a vital role in rescuing Tifa and getting her safely to Midgar. There's also the fact that Tifa allegedly isn't his only pupil, and he's somewhat of a wandering martial artist who has students all over the world. It would even be a pretty good side story for Tifa if you actually got to meet some of his other pupils. Maybe have a couple of boss fights with them too, that would be sick. I think out of all the NPCs who could really benefit hugely from this remake, Zangan is definitely one of them. The Turks. Alright, look, I know I'm kinda cheating on this one because it's essentially a whole group of people, but come on man. You can't just pick one single Turk, can you? Like, if you pick one, you automatically pick the whole squad by default, there's no two ways about that. The Turks, in my opinion, are the best group in the original Final Fantasy VII. They're the Shinra Corporation's very own in-house mafia. They do all the dirty work. They make people disappear without using any magic tricks. They were legit. They were one of my personal highlights in that game. They always appeared cool and in control, even when sometimes they weren't. They were the bad guys, but they were the kind of bad guys you wanted on your side sometimes. I'd love to see how all these Turks are going to look in the remake, especially Reno since he is my personal favourite from the group. There's just something stylish about his scruffy appearance that builds upon his I couldn't give a shit attitude. With the first game in the remake series taking place entirely within Midgar, we're no doubt going to see a lot of the Turks, and I can't wait. I do hope it treats this group with a bit more respect though. I always felt that the Advent Children movie treated them like nothing more than a chance for some comedic punchlines, and while the Turks are known for being a funny bunch of characters, the trick to getting them just right is matching that comedy with serious threatening tones. Yeah, they could make you laugh, but they're also probably going to kill you. I'd also like to see the remake build upon some of the other Turks that didn't get too much development time during the original game, like Sung for example. I think he deserves his own boss battle alone, like you didn't even get to fight him in the original game. I want to see the leader of the Turks go to work and not forever be known as that one guy who got shanked by Sephiroth, but then somehow magically got better in time for the movie, only to then get his ass handed to him again in the movie. Like, pull yourself together bruv, yeah? You're the leader of the Turks. Show everybody what that means. And that was 5 NPCs I can't wait to see in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Some notable mentions right off the top of my head. I'm going to say Dio. I'm also going to say Bugenhagen. And I'm going to say Mr. Coates as well from Coral Prison. I like his suit. I can't wait to see that suit in the remake. That's going to look fresh as hell. But yeah, that was my list. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you agreed with any of this, then wicked. Thank you. And if you didn't, shit. Sorry, like, there's not much I can do about that. There's not much I can do. I'm sorry, yeah? But thanks for stopping by regardless. I appreciate it. Before I duck out, once again, if you're new around these ends, then please consider subscribing and follow me on the Twitters and the Instas if you want to watch my life unfold into a big dirty mess like it usually does. Same shit, different day. I've been DigiValentine. Thanks for your time. Take care. And I'll see you all again real soon. And yo, if they don't know about me, let them know. Safe.